Hello students, in from today's lecture we have a start natural resources. Under that, in the first part of the lecture we have covered water resource. So water resource, we have studied that it is a universal solvent, various applications of water. Then we have studied uses of water resources. In that we have studied agriculture, industrial, domestic, recreational, and environmental activities. Then we have studied use of water for agriculture purpose. Then we have used application of water for industrial use. Then we have studied the domestic use of water. And then we have used the application of water for hydropower generation. And we have studied that how we do the over exploitation of water and what is the reason behind the water scarcity. And we have studied various kind of the national, international, interstate disputes which are taken due to this natural resource so called water, and the role of government for solving these disputes. And then we have studied the surface water, that how much water is, what is surface water, how much water is available on the surface, and whatever the water is available on the surface, what are the benefits of it for enhancing the productivity. And then we have studied the water can create the causes of floods and the problems of drought. Now, in the second part of this lecture, we will discuss about another source of water, that is the groundwater. Now, from our childhood, we have studied the groundwater is the water which is used by plants. Surface water is used by we human beings and animals. But the groundwater, and even though we are the contributor of groundwater, we use groundwater too. But as from the childhood concept, we know that the groundwater is used by plants. So groundwater is the major source of water in many parts of the world. However, there has been continuous depletion of this source due to its over exploitation. By rising human population and the rapid rise in industrialization. So, the groundwater, as we consider it as a major source of water, but due to continuous depletion of this source, the application of water for our daily activities, for the domestic purpose, this source is overexploited. And due to overexploitation of this resource by human population, and the major factor behind that, that is industrialization and urbanization. About 9.86% of total fresh water resources are in the form of groundwater. So, about 9.86 of total fresh water. As we have studied in the previous part, only very less percentage of water is available as a fresh water. So, out of that, the 9.86% of the fresh water resource is available from the groundwater. And it is about 30 to 50 times that of surface water supplies, जो कि surface water supplies से 30 to 35 to 50 times ज़्यादा है. So we can imagine कि how much groundwater is important for us. कितने ज़्यादा क्वांटिटी में है और हम कितने कम क्वांटिटी में है, कितने ज़्यादा क्वांटिटी में है, and how we can use that water in a efficient manner, not in a exploitable manner. Effects of extensive and reckless groundwater uses. The first, that is a subsidence. The second, that is lowering of water table. And third, that is a waterlogging. Now, effect of extensive and reckless groundwater. These are the factors which are related. The first, that is the subsidence. The second, that is lowering of water table. And third, that is the water logging. Now, what are these? Now, consequences of overutilization, water scarcity now become an important topic in international diplomacy. From village to the United Nations, water scarcity is a widely discussed topic in decision making. Nearly 3 billion people in the world suffer from water scarcity. Now, consequences of overutilization, water scarcity now become an important topic. Continuously, the peoples are doing the projects. Continuously, the R&D departments were working on this, right? That how we can save the water, what is water scarcity, what are the actions of human beings which are working important role, or we can say the negative role for water scarcity reason. From village to the United Nations, water scarcity is a widely discussed topic. And we can't say that the water problem, the water scarcity problem is a society problem or a locality problem or a city problem or a state problem. It is a worldwide problem, right? From taking from the society, taking from the village, taking from the state to the nationwide. Nearly 3 billion people in the world suffer from water scarcity because the amount of fresh water, the amount of drinking water, the amount of groundwater or the surface water which is available, it is not that much sufficient as per the population is growing day by day. So nearly 3 billion peoples, they are fighting with the problem of water scarcity. No matter it can be for the domestic purpose, it can be for the agriculture purpose, it can be for the industrial purpose, right? Because if there is no water, there will be no irrigation. If there will be no irrigation, then there will be the less or the decline in the agricultural production. If there is a decline in the agricultural production, then directly or indirectly there is a decline in the industrial production, because many agricultural products, they act as a raw material for various industries. International, intrastate and regional rivalries on water are not new to the world. The ongoing Jordan River conflict, Nile River conflict, and Aral Sea conflict are cases in point. So, from the city, from the village to the city, city to the state, state to the country, country to the international level, everyone is going with the problem of water scarcity. And just in the previous part, we have discussed that a lot of conflicts were going on for the distribution of water, right? So many conflicts were going on. And we have heard that various kind of the conflict. Now, river can be the conflict, so we have to think over this. And what are these river conflicts taking place in? The ongoing Jordan River conflict, Nile River conflict, Aral Sea conflict are cases in point. तो सोचने की जरूरत है कि पानी एक ऐसी चीज है जिसके वजह से कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स हो रहे हैं. The intrastate issues such as Kaveri water dispute in India. Now, the intrastate issues such as Kaveri water dispute in South India, 2000 Cochamba protest in Bolivia is still a shimmering cauldron causing period tension at the national and regional levels. Now, to climatic change. Climate change, scientists, environmentalists, and biologists worldwide are now alarmed that climate change can have an impact on the drainage pattern and hydrological cycle on the earth, hereby severely affecting the surface and groundwater availability. Climate change is believed to rise the global temperature at an increasing pace. Temperature increase affects the hydrological cycle by directly increasing evaporation of available surface water and vegetation transpiration. As a result, precipitation amount, timing, and intensity rates are largely affected. It impacts the flux and storage of water in surface and subsurface reservoirs. Just now I have said that many scientists, many researchers, they were doing projects on water. So under those projects, they were putting more and more focus toward the water scarcity, problems of water, water pollution, how to enhance the ratio of fresh water, whatever the water is there, how to conserve that. So, how to raise the level of groundwater, how to maintain the level of the surface water. So, climate change. Climate change, it is a like major factor which has its impact on water or water as a natural resource. So scientists, environmentalists, and biologists, they are now alarmed that climate change can have an impact on the drainage pattern and hydrological cycle on the earth. Means whenever there is a climate change, and why there is a climate change? Due to continuous climate change क्यों हो रहा है? Because continuously what we are doing, continuously we are doing the deforestation, continuously we are doing the desertification, continuously we are cutting down the forest, continuously we are destroying the biodiversity, and as an impact of that ये सारे फैक्टर्स किसको इम्पैक्ट करेंगे? टेम्परेचर को। दे इम्पैक्ट द क्वालिटी ऑफ एयर, दे इम्पैक्ट टेम्परेचर, और उसकी वजह से क्या होगा? टेम्परेचर डे बाय डे क्या होने लगेगा? बढ़ने लगेगा। एंड ऑब्वियसली टेम्परेचर बढ़ा means they has direct and indirect impact on the vegetation, they has direct and indirect impact on the water bodies, on the hydrological cycle, because as the temperature will increase means the more and more hydrological cycles will be impacted. Because अगर फॉरेस्ट नहीं होंगे तो ग्राउंड वाटर का लेवल इम्पैक्ट होगा, अगर फॉरेस्ट नहीं होंगे, ट्रीज नहीं होंगे तो ट्रांसपिरेशंस नहीं होंगे, ट्रांसपिरेशन नहीं होंगे तो हाइड्रोलॉजिकल साइकिल्स कंप्लीट नहीं होंगे। लाइक वे नाउ द क्लाइमेट चेंज is believed to rise the global temperature at an increasing pace. Now, continuously, when there's a problem of scarcity of water, continuously there's a problem of deforestation, continuously we are cutting down the forest. As a result, there is a continuous elevation in the temperature, and due to which there is a problem of global warming. Global temperature is continuously rising. Temperature increase affects the hydrological cycle by directly increasing evaporation of available surface water. Now, the temperature increasing affect the hydrological cycle by directly increasing evaporation of available surface water and vegetation transpiration. So, transpiration is a major factor which is responsible for altering the rate of hydrological cycle, because ट्रांसपिरेशन रेट का लोअर डाउन होना, ट्रांसपिरेशन रेट का बढ़ना, it has impact on hydrological cycle. As a result, the precipitation amount, timing, and intensity rates are largely affected. Now, जितने ज्यादा रेट पे ट्रांसपिरेशन होगा या जितना ज्यादा रेट फास्टर या स्लोअर ट्रांसपिरेशन होगा, in the same way, the precipitation will be impacted. And the timing and the intensity rates of precipitation are also affected. It impacts the flux and shortage of water in surface. तो जैसे जैसे पानी का ट्रांसपिरेशन रेट अल्टर होगा, वैसे वैसे पानी का प्रेसिपिटेशन रेट अल्टर होगा, and somehow there should be an imbalance in the hydrological cycle. And once the hydrological cycles will be disturbed, then it creates a flux, it creates a shortage of water which is available on the surface, on the water bodies, or on the subsurface and reservoirs. Now comes the floods and droughts. Floods and droughts are two well-known natural hazards in the world. The former is due to excess in water flow, and the latter is due to scarcity of water. Means we have a saying that किसी भी चीज का ज्यादा होना या किसी भी चीज का कम होना दोनों ही अच्छा नहीं है. There should be everything in a proper and balanced manner. Same is with the natural resources. No matter they are renewable resources, even though they should be in a balanced manner, right? So if water is in excess, if water is in plenty, even though it create a problem for we people, even though it create a problem for population, but If it is in a very less amount, if it is in a scale form, then it create a again problem. So the flood is a condition when water is in excess form. Drought is a condition when water is in a very less form. So floods and droughts are two well-known natural hazards. Former one is due to excess of water or excess in water flow, and the later is due to water scarcity. The amount of rainfall received by an area varies from one place to another, depending on the location of the place. In some places, it rains almost throughout the year, whereas in other places, it might rain for only few days. Means which are the area which have the impact of floods, which are the area which has the impact of drought. It depends on that how much those area are exposed to the rainfall, right? Because the rainfall varies from place to place. It varies from one place to another, depending on what is the location. Because there were some area where throughout the year there is a heavy rainfall takes place, and there are few of the areas जहाँ पे हमेशा there is a problem of drought, सूखे का problem है. So in India records most of its rainfall in the monsoon season. Likewise, the people in the India, very less farmers or very less irrigation is dependent on the natural other resources. So maximum agriculture is depend for the process of irrigation only on the monsoon season. Heavy rains lead to rise in the water level of river, seas and oceans. Now, if there is a plenty of water, if there is excess water, heavy rain takes place, and due to which there is a continuously rise in the level of water. Water gets accumulated in the coastal areas, which results in floods. Floods bring in extensive damage to crops. Now, if there is a rise in the level of rivers, if there is a rise in water level of sea, in the oceans, then what will happen? The excess water it get accumulated in the coastal areas, and due to which there takes place floods, and floods bring extensive damage to the crops, to the domestic animals, property, and human life. Means कोई भी ऐसा बचा हुआ नहीं है जो फ्लड के इम्पैक्ट से बच जाए, चाहे वो क्रॉप्स हो, चाहे वो डोमेस्टिक एनिमल्स हो, चाहे वो ह्यूमन बीइंग हो, everyone will be impacted by the flood. During floods, many animals get carried away by the force of water and eventually die. So, जब भी बाढ़ आएगी, heavy water floods होगा, then what will happen? Somehow we people can protect ourselves, but the animals they get carried away by the heavy force of water, and as a result eventually they die. Now, major water conflicts. Some of the major water conflicts that have become thorn in relation between states and countries. Now, there are various conflicts taken between the country, between the states, right? So, the first Water conflict in Middle East countries involved are Sudan, Egypt, and Turkey. It also affects countries which are water starved. Visualize Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Syria, Israel, and Jordan. Second, the Indus Water Treaty. This Indus Water Treaty dispute between India and Pakistan is lingering since long. Third, the Kaveri water dispute. It involved two major states of India. Visualize Tamil Nadu and Karnataka. So over here, the water conflict, we are saying that this is the conflict, but this is the need of thinking that this is the natural resource, right? But over that, many political actions are responsible for these water conflicts, right? Due to the action of government, many states they get very less water supply. Many states they get made beyond limit water supply. Many states they have various water projects. They have various dams, right? So these conflicts should be shortened by the government. There's a need to shorten these conflicts because as a result of conflict, who will be impacted? The agriculture sector will be impacted. We will be impacted. So there is a need to take the prompt actions by the government. Now, near Satluj, Yamuna link canal dispute. The dispute is between two northern states, visualize Punjab and Haryana, and Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan as well as Delhi has also interest in it. In traditional water management, innovative arrangements ensure equitable distribution of water. Means in traditional water management, if we talk about the rational distribution of water, or if we talk about the equality in water distribution, then there should be the indulgence of the authorities. Now, innovative arrangement ensure equitable distribution of water. There should be a proper research methods. There should be a proper project which decide that how much water is to be distributed for a particular area. Now, which are democratically implemented. These disputes can be solved amicably through gram panchayats. If transparency is maintained, but disputes between the countries or states sometimes attain war-like situation and are difficult to solve. So, if there's a problem of water in between the two villages, right? If there's a problem of water supply in between the like two localities, that can be resolved by the gram panchayats, right? This we are talking about a very like a small level. But if the water problem is in between the countries, then maybe it can take a war-like situation. And once it has been started, it is very difficult to solve or it is very difficult to control. If the dispute of water is between the country or the states or in between the neighboring cities. Now comes the dams. Now, dams, benefits and problems. Water is a precious resource and its scarcity is increasing at global level. There is a pressure to utilize surface water resources efficiently for different purpose, right? Water is a precious resource. We have learned this from our small standard classes, right? Like they are giving us various ways that how to use the water in a proper manner, right? The various pictures you have seen that you should close the tap while brushing, you should not use the shower, right? You should take water in bucket for the bathing purpose, right? We are learning this since our childhood, but there's a need to implement these at the larger level. So there is a pressure to utilize surface water resource effectively for different purpose. Now the water which is available on the surface, it is in a limited manner. So we have the need to use it efficiently. We have the need to use it properly. We have to need to use it in a controlled manner so that we aren't the only person or we shouldn't be the only person which utilize the water which is available. It should be distributed equally. Them a structure built across a stream, a river, or estuary to retain water. Now, dam are somehow the structure जो कि नदी के पास, streams के पास कंस्ट्रक्ट किए जाते हैं. And now, what is the motto of the dam? Every time we are saying पानी नहीं है, पानी नहीं है, सूखा पड़ा है, राइट? अब थोड़ा सा तेज बारिश हो गई तो हम बोलते हैं अरे बाढ़ आ गई. बट डिड वी थिंक कि अगर सूखा है तो क्यों है और बाढ़ आ रही है तो क्यों आ रही है? डिड वी हैव एनी मैनेजमेंट? Did we have any management for the conservation of the water? How many of us we are doing something or how many of us are contributing for the water management, water harvesting concepts? Why we do not save the water? Why we do not harvest the water when there's an excessive rain taken place? So the dam is a concept where the water is stored and keep in a stored manner. So when and as it is required, it can be provided to the population. Dams are built to provide water for human consumption, for irrigating arid and semi-arid lands, or for use in industrial purpose. Now, डैम का पर्पस क्या है कि हम डैम तो बना ले, राइट? बट पूरे साल, एक साल की बारिश में जब डैम भर जाए तो हम उसी डैम के पानी को या उसी डैम से हम क्या कर सके, ह्यूमन कंजम्पशन को के लिए पानी को सप्लाई कर सके. ऐसे एरिया जहाँ पे कि बारिश नहीं हो रही है, जहाँ पे कि बहुत ज्यादा इरिगेशन की जरूरत है, जहाँ पे बहुत ज्यादा एग्रीकल्चर एरिया है, सेमी एरिड लैंड्स, उनको हम क्या कर पाए, वी कैन सप्लाई द वाटर फॉर द पर्पस ऑफ इरिगेशन. नाउ फॉर द इंडस्ट्रियल पर्पस, ऐसे इंडस्ट्रीज जिनको पानी की जरूरत है, जिन इंडस्ट्रीज का चलाना पानी के बिना पॉसिबल नहीं है, दे नीड वाटर फॉर वेरियस machines. They need water for various their washing of the products, right? So for that all the industries need water. But how this need of human consumption, how this need of the irrigation, how this need of the industrial purpose can be fulfilled? It can be fulfilled only and only by the concept of dams. That whatever the water which is conserved in a reservoir, that is called as dam. Now, major benefits of dam. Under the major benefit of dam, the first that is the hydroelectricity generation. As in the previous lecture, we have discussed that continuously we are in the earth, continuously there is a need to find the alternate resources of energy or the alternate source of energy. So, if we construct the dam, if we reserve the water in dam, then and then only it is possible for us to go for the hydroelectricity generation. Else, we won't be able to produce the electricity by the means of water. Second, year-round water supply to ensure higher productivity. Now, if we are totally dependent on rain, or if we are totally dependent on irrigation on the rainwater, right? Then it is very difficult for us. Q, because the rain will not happen throughout the year in many areas. So there is a need to reserve the water. There is a need to make the reservoir of the water so that year around the water supply can be started. And if year around water supply will be there, then and then only we can be think over that for that area or for that country there is a higher productivity of the crops. Because if the agriculture sector will depend on the rainwater, then it is very difficult for them to think for the quality and the quantity production. The third, that is equal water distribution by transferring water from area of access to area of deficit. Now, there can be many area जहाँ पे बहुत ज्यादा नदियां हो. There can be many area जहाँ पे बहुत ज्यादा बारिश हो रही हो. But that can be the area जहाँ पे बहुत कम नदियां हो या नदियां हो तो पानी ना हो. There can be the area जहाँ पे कि बहुत थोड़े समय के लिए ही बारिश होती हो. So, by the concept of dam, what we can do, we can save the water, we can conserve the water, and जहाँ पे भी पानी की कमी है, जो एरिया वाटर डेफिसिट है, with the proper channels, with the management of these channels, we can distribute the water equally by transferring water from access availability to the area where there is a poor availability of the water. Helps flood control and protect soil. Now, if the dams were not there, if you won't think about the dam, then at the time of the heavy rainfalls, there can be a situation arise that there can be flood. And as just in the previous slide, we have seen the impact of the flood. It has a negative impact on human being. It has a negative impact on the vegetation. It has a negative impact on the animals. So, to reduce the impact of heavy rainfall as a consequence of flood, what we can say, with the help of dams, we can save that water, and also with the heavy floods, we can reduce the impact of soil depletion, and we can maintain the quality of the soil. So, if we think over the dam, then definitely we can reduce the floods, we can reduce the impact of floods, and we can reduce the soil erosion, we can reduce the soil depletion, and we can improve the vegetation also. Then fifth is assure irrigation during dry periods. Now, just now I have said कि कुछ ऐसे एरिया है जहाँ पे कि बहुत कम टाइम के लिए बारिश होती है और कम टाइम के लिए भी होती है एंड इट्स फॉर अ वेरी वेरी शॉर्टर period and with a very less quantity rainfall, right? So, if that area is having a good agricultural land, then there is a need कि if it is having a good agricultural land, then there should be a regular supply of water which is available for the irrigation purpose. Because अगर एग्रीकल्चर एरिया बहुत अच्छा है, एग्रीकल्चर लैंड बहुत अच्छा है, क्वालिटी प्रोडक्शन हो रहा है, then it is the responsibility of the government to provide the water which is available for the irrigation throughout the year. So, whenever on those areas there are dry periods or water scarcity, with the help of the dams, we can do the assure irrigation. We can assure the public of that area to provide the water which is available for the irrigation. Then comes the river. River valley projects provide inland water investigation, employment opportunities, and can be used to develop fish hatcheries and nurseries. River valley projects provide inland water navigation. Just now in the previous part of this lecture, we have studied that the water as a source of navigation. If the water is there, then the employment opportunity will be too much and can be used to develop the fish hatcheries and nurseries. So, fish production can also be enhanced. Aquaculture can be enhanced. Aquaculture can be proved as an opportunity for the employment. River Valley projects have tremendous potential for economic upliftment and will help to raise the standard of living and can help to improve the quality of life. Now, whatever the River Valley projects, whatever the projects we are doing over the water is for economic upliftment because there's a one saying that bin pani sab soon. So, if the water is available in the tremendous amount, then there are a lot of job opportunities. There's a good agricultural production. There's a quality agricultural production. There's a good industrial development. There will be the good export and import business. So through that, we can do the economic upliftment. And what will happen with that economic upliftment? It will help to raise the standard of living. Because once we get the good jobs, once we get the good opportunities, once we do the good economic growth, then obviously the standard of the living will be uplifted and it can help to improve the quality of life. Now, here, disadvantages and problem. As just now I have discussed that every action, every issue has its positive effects and even it has its negative impact or negative effect. हर किसी चीज के, हर किसी रिसोर्स के, हर किसी एक्शन के अपने कुछ प्रॉस है एंड अपने कुछ कॉन्स है. So if we are doing the construction of dams, if continuously we are focusing on the dams, so the main motive behind dam construction is पानी को सेव करना. Anyhow, whatever the flood, whatever the water which is available, so rather than going it waste with the floods, we can save the water in the form of the dams. So it is beneficial for us. But if there are some advantages of dams, there are some disadvantages also. Although dams have proved very useful over the centuries, but recent past big dams has created a lot of human as well as environment issue. So बहुत टाइम से डैम ने लोगों को बहुत अपॉर्चुनिटी दिए हैं, अच्छे रिजल्ट्स दिए हैं, स्ट्रेंथ्स प्रूफ हुए हैं, बट बहुत सारे प्रॉब्लम्स भी क्रिएट हुए हैं. एंड इवन दो दोज वर द environmental issues. So the first, that is the submergence of large areas, may lead to fertile soil and displacement of tribal people. Second, the salt left behind due to evaporation increase the salinity of river water and make it unusable when reaches downstream. Now, continuously we are focusing on the dam water. Continuously we are focusing for the conservation of the water through dams. But whenever the process of hydrological cycles takes place, whenever the water it go for the process of evaporation, then whatever the salts which are there in the water, they can be accumulated in the same area. They can be accumulated in the same water body. So what will happen? The concentration of the salt in the water will be increased, and due to which the river water become saline and it is unusable. We can't use that. Third is the siltation and sedimentation of reservoir not only make dams less used but also is responsible for loss of valuable nutrient. Now siltation and sedimentation of reservoir. Now what will happen? It make dams use less but also responsible for loss of valuable nutrients. Now, fourth is loss of non-forest and land leads to loss of flora and fauna. Now, as you all know, the dam is not something a very small body, or the dam is not something which can be constructed or which can be settled in a very small area. It need a very larger area, right? So somehow, whenever we are in the concept of dams construction, it can do the deforestation, it can do the cutting down of the forest, and due to which what happened? That takes the loss of flora and fauna. Flora means small plants, and fauna means small animals. Change next is changes in fisheries and the spawning grounds. Now, due to dam, the fisheries can be impacted and the spawning grounds can also be impacted. Stagnation and water logging near reservoirs lead to breeding vectors and a spread of vector borne diseases. Growth of aquatic weeds may lead to microclimatic change. Now, if we are continuously saving the water in the dam, due to which the water is in the stagnant form, and if the water is in the stagnant form, then there can be the chances of the aquatic weeds, and due to which they can alter the microclimatic change. So, as we have discussed in this lecture, the water resources, how to save the water, what are the factors which impact for the uncontrolled application of the water, what are the factors which are responsible for the water pollution, what are the types of water resources, how much water is available on the earth, how much water is saline water, how much water is fresh water, out of fresh water, how much water is available for drinking, how much water is available on the glacier caps, how much water is contributed by surface water, how much quantity of water is contributed by groundwater, then the concept of dams, why there is a need of the dams, why there is a need to construct the dams, with the help of the dams, what are the benefits, then what are the advantages of dam, how dams are useful, like with the construction of that, where should be the construction of dam has to be taken place, whether dams are beneficial for us or not. If they are beneficial, then what are the benefits we have discussed, like कि अगर dam बनता है तो what we can do, at a time we can save a lot of water, right? And if we can save a lot of water once it is available, then what we can do, we can स्टोर द वाटर फॉर अ वेरी लॉन्गर पीरियड ऑफ टाइम, पानी को बचा के रख सकते हैं। देन ऐसे बहुत सारे एरिया है जहाँ पे कि रेनफॉल थ्रू आउट द ईयर होता रहता है। ऐसे बहुत से एरिया है जहाँ पे बहुत थोड़ा रेनफॉल है और बहुत कम टाइम के लिए है। देन व्हाट वी कैन डू, वी कैन सेव द वाटर बाय द मीन्स ऑफ डैम इन अ लार्जर क्वांटिटी। और जब भी उन एरिया जहाँ पे कि पानी ज्यादा है, फ्लड के चांसेस है, वहां पे हम क्या करें, वाटर को रिजर्व कर ले। और ऐसे एरिया जहाँ पे कि पानी नहीं है, रेनफॉल बहुत कम है, वहां पे हम क्या कर पाए, वाटर को सप्लाई कर पाए प्रॉपर चैनल्स के थ्रू। देन डैम्स के थ्रू हम जॉब अपॉर्चुनिटीज को भी ऑफर कर सकते हैं। Then, if there are the advantages of them, then there can be the disadvantages also. Disadvantages क्या है कि पानी तो हमने सेव कर लिया, बट उस एरिया की फर्टिलिटी को हम कितना इम्पैक्ट कर रहे हैं। पानी बहुत दिनों तक जमा है, then maybe there is a lot of accumulation of the salt. Then there can be the change in the nutrient value of water. देन अगर हम डैम कंस्ट्रक्ट कर रहे हैं तो हम उस एरिया के फॉरेस्ट को तो डिस्ट्रॉय नहीं कर रहे हैं, हम उस एरिया के फ्लोरा एंड फौना को तो डिस्ट्रॉय नहीं कर रहे हैं, राइट? आरएंड वी impacting the fisheries and the spawning grounds, राइट? उनकी वजह से वाटर लॉगिंग के प्रॉब्लम पे क्या इम्पैक्ट है। देन what are the aquatic weeds which can be developed, how the microclimate change takes place due to the aquatic weeds. Now, how dams are beneficial for the hydroelectric generation. So, these are the concepts which we have studied in the part 2 of this lecture of environmental study, that is natural resources. Thank you.